or I have been trying to overcome, that what actually motivated you? Because I have got a number of, I know a number of, and Ravi also knows, and all of us know that the bureaucrats normally they don't have this conservation as their priority. They think that it is the forest officials who should look after all this thing, and the divisional commissioner, or they have to look after revenue collection or law and order issues and many
Correct.
other things. So what
Yeah,
motivated
yeah.
you to get into this conservation aspect of this huge wetland? And we are very
So,
thankful to you that you have started the initiatives.
so, yeah, Vilashi, the journey began long time back when I was in school, when I was a part of a nature club, cycling club, trek clubs. It all started during those days. And this is when the first love for nature, for photography, a little bit started. And by the time I was in college, uh, I was already in deep love with nature and doing a lot of photography works. I continued this passion when I came to this esteemed service, the service I wanted to myself to be in. But I kept my this hobby alive and love for nature alive. And because I realized that I am in a position, all bureaucrats, not me as such as an individual itself, all bureaucrats, there are on 6,000 of the Indian administrative service officers who all across the country who are performing various, in various capacities. Each individual, especially the field officers like us, like the commissioners, like the district collectors, they have so much of immense power and the capacity, the resources, and the capacity to influence so many other people. Now, that is the critical
Very
aspect.
right.
If you
That
are
is the
in such
critical
a
aspect.
position, besides the regular work of law and order, implementation of schemes of the government, there are few exceptional things which all of us desire to, catch hold of and do implement exceptional things. And this has been my hobby, my love, my, attraction, where I have been always been every single district. I've worked as collector in 10 different districts of Uttar Pradesh, and every single district I did got hold of some kind of a green project, whether it was river conservation, whether it was wetlands, whether it was declaration of black buck sanctuary area, or Indian skimmers conservation, whatever it was, every district. So the first thing I do every
That is
year,
remarkable. That is
yeah,
remarkable, Sanjay ji.
it has been it all happened because of that, because I always look for few things, and this is how now I'm pretty middle senior kind of a officer. So I would say I always talk to my junior officers, and I always try and motivate them that besides the regulars, you have to take up few things, because the especially the nature related issues, conservation related issues, because the future of the humanity, future of the district, future of the people, the denizens of those districts, those areas, it very much is intricately connected and dependent to a very large extent on the conservation of such wetlands, water bodies, even smaller or bigger, but they are of vital importance. In UP's context, I'll just flag one issue, that the number of wetlands or water bodies all put together. Wetland is a larger word where everything is included. It has if you see the number, in the absolute number, the UP state, which has a population of equal to more than Brazil's population, it would have been the sixth largest populated country of the world had it been a independent country. And we have the largest number of wetlands, water bodies in any single state. And so the onus of conservation is tremendous. The good aspect is the current government has also taken up. We have a state now. We have a state wetland committee, and the district wetland committee is also constituted. But still, still have to go a long way in actually making it functional, really doing things on the ground. We have still a long way to go.
So you rightly said, Uttar Pradesh being a very, very big state and population, even if it was, bifurcated, and Uttaranchal and Uttarakhand was created in the year 2000,
Yeah,
November 2000.
yeah.
But my question to you is about more technical, in the sense that you said that wherever you go, you are you're talking to the collectors and you are talking to the people in the government.
Yeah.
So, is there any way you are able to inspire the new collectors from the district that you vacated and went on a promotion on this thing? Are the young IAS officers also getting into this conservation aspect the way you have shown the way to them?
Frankly speaking, there are few here and there. There are few here and there. We still have to work on those count. Uh, but still, I would say there are few people. And what I do is, there are 75 districts in UP, and people like you, people like Ravi Singh sir, people like Sahani ji, Suman Khan, spread over different parts of the state. They keep calling me, they keep troubling me, they keep telling me, sharing information. I have a huge network in the conservation community. Irrespective of the district I command, the commissioner, the area I command, I do intervene in a lot of, get in touch with a lot of collectors and try and impress upon them to take up those activities. And I would say that the collectors I have spoken to, I do speak to, they do give a thought to it. They do seriously look into the issues and take action also. So, but the very fact that they are totally drenched, totally involved, or totally
That has to come
get
from
up.
within an individual, I
Correct.
think.
It takes a little time. It takes a
Yes.
couple of exposures to do that. And this is how I think it will be. But still, we still not to lose hope. I do talk sometimes in common forums of the all ICE officers where I present, give presentations. Why this is important? Why to take up few projects, such projects? How does it impact uh, the lives of everyone? And as an officer, it improves our own our own biodata, our own achievements. It gives a hell lot of satisfaction to us when we 10 year hence, when we look backward of things we did and things we contributed.
So Sanjay ji, do you have some slides to show to all the participants who have also
Yeah,
joined us
if you
in this
permit, then
webinar? So if you
quickly
can,
quickly because I'll focus
please
on
quickly, because now I have to go to Kerala
yeah,
after
yeah.
Haiderpur
I'll just
district is
take 5 minutes.
over.
I'll
So
request Mr. Suresh to quickly run through the just take the slide on
a
the
few
screen.
slides so we can also have the feel of Haiderpur.
Yeah.
Suresh, Shoma, can you help
Can
in
you just
this thing?
Yes, yes, I'm
Have the
sharing.
slides, please.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we can go to the next slide. Yeah, this is just a view of the slide of river. This is the Ganges, and you can see the barrage, and we are standing at the one edge of the wetland. Can we go to the next? Yeah, this is an expansive view. You might think it is a river, but no, this is a wetland. Such
Oh
huge,
my God.
this is you cannot see the other end of it,
Other end of it,
and
yes.
other end of it. This is the
It's
scenario.
look like a sea.
Yeah, it's just like a huge sea. And in the rainy season, the area is somewhere around almost equal to 9 to 10,000 acre, which is there's no difference between Ganges and the wetland. Everything is covered in just a sea of water. Next. This is another beautiful view of this is a summer.
Oh,
This is a summer view. The same wetland when the water recedes and the summer season in the peak of the summer. This is somewhere around uh, March end. When the bar-headed goose was still there this year because of the COVID. This shot is taken this year itself, and you can see when the water recedes, there are few meandering channels which are left, and the whole wetland is revealed in the form of a lovely, fantastic green meadow, and again it stretches into thousands of acres. Next. Yeah, this is another beautiful view. We can see a swamp deer and a lot of ducks, goose together in one frame. Now the place is also very important because a scheduled one species, the swamp deer, which is a scheduled one species, a decent population has been reported. We still do not know the exact numbers, but on a good day, I have counted 24 of them right in front of me in one from one single point.
amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
but I expect some calculation and some feedback base. The number will be somewhere around 100 plus, 100 to 150. But the key is they do not stay here around the year because the entire area is flooded. So they migrate from here to, there is another beautiful wetland along the Ganges, which is in Haiderpur district. That is called as a Jhilmil Tal. That is where between that place, which may be somewhere around 40, 50, 60 kilometers away from this place. And these animals, they crisscross through some forests, some wetlands, some private lands, and they reach out to that place. There is one study which has been done by Wildlife Institute of India. They have done the tagging of a few of the two swamp deers, and they're still studying that. But they have some initial findings which says that the swamp deer has been
I hope there is no threat to their life to this swamp deer, Sanjay ji. Some poaching or some kind of this thing, I don't know.
Yeah, frankly speaking, as of today, there is no such mechanism where we can say there is no threat. There might be, because they move and crisscross through a lot of private lands also, and touching the private land. But we do not have any such reports from the government side. I have spoken to my officers in Bijnor, in my jurisdiction also, Muzaffarnagar. They have not reported any poaching of these swamp deers. And the
That is
best
a good
part
news.
was these swamp deers have been breeding. I could see the rutting calls, the breeding shots we could get. We could see even some young fawns accompanying the females, which is a pretty good sign that they have been prospering. They have been breeding also in this part and moving between this part to Uttar. Some more detailed study.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Is there any more slides, Shoma?
Yeah, some more. This is the biodiversity richness briefly. We have got swamp deer, we have hog deers, we have fishing cats, we've got civet cats, we've got otters because it's next to the Ganges. We've got 4 species of turtles. We have gigantic dolphins just nearby, just across the wetland connecting there. We've got dolphins. People who came for the bird festival, they spotted dolphins also. We've got Gadial Mugars just down below. We've got 290 species. Last year when we started, we had 172 species. But with the connect of so many like-minded people, nature lovers, bird lovers trickling in, our number has grown to 292. We intend to take it to 350, I am sure. Next, can you go back a little?
Beautiful.
Yeah. And
I hope Carol is able to see the slides.
Yeah,
I can, yes. I can, yes. I'm really enjoying.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
pretty fantastic improvement from 172 to 290 species in just 1 year. So thanks to all the bird watchers and all the people who have come and who have shared input. Arpit from the WWF has been a great support. He's been going, visiting, and giving a lot of feedbacks. The people from Nainital, people from the different parts of Uttarakhand, from Madhya Pradesh, from Delhi, they have been coming and sharing pictures and other things. Rare birds, 2-3 rare birds which were spotted, which was quite an attraction. Black-necked grebe, and a good number. We saw 1, we saw 2, we saw 5 of them together. The white crown pendulum tit, it was a big hit. It stayed there for as long as 2 months, almost 2 months. And it was happy. And I was so pleased when Carol came, she was also able to spot it. Even though she had a fleeting, she couldn't get the pictures, very clear pictures, but she could see it. Indian grass bird, another very one. All these 3 these species were spotted during the festival also, and it continued even after. Next. This is a beautiful picture of in the wetland itself, the bar-headed goose, and another speciality of this wetland is this is one of the wetlands where the biggest congregation, single wetland with the biggest congregation of bar-headed goose and the grey-legged goose, both of them that happens. Rough estimation.
These are your photographs?
Yeah.
I'm keen to. Oh, very good.
Yeah. So see, all from Haiderpur. They're all pictures from Haiderpur. So we get the number is somewhere around 35. I counted 3,500 bar-headed goose plus 3,000 approximately grey-leg goose, and because there are many areas on the backside which could never go. We had to make probably this year we'll try and do that. My estimation would be it would not be less than 5,000, but still we have to. But authentic figure which we have by bare eyes and we have calculated is 3,500 bar-headed goose and flock of 3,000 at one single wetland, which is pretty high. And in the peak days, the total number of bird count was somewhere around 35 to 40,000. That's pretty good number, and of such a large wetland. And the diversity of the waterfowl, the migratory birds is tremendous. Next.
So one of the participants or one of the this thing is Sandeep Kulkarni is asking you a question, sir. Which is the best season to visit?
Yeah,
Haiderpur?
the best season I would say is February, March. February from the second from
What a
around
wonderful photograph is this.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
this is another Indian skimmer. This was shot just in the month
skimmer.
of March, early March, and you can see it is just trying to skim through. Some fishes are flying, and we spotted Ashish Loya spotted a flock of 16 of them. I spotted a flock of 14 of them, and they do because this whole stretch of the Ganges, my estimation is they've been breeding. And the WWF
Beautiful
research,
photograph.
they've been breeding also down on the Ganges, some small riverine islands. Now the key challenges, very briefly, we'll run through the illegal fishing. Yes, the people have been traditionally doing it.
That's a major challenge.
Major challenge. But the good part is we have a full team of forest officers now parked there. We have a chowki. We have a check post there of the forest department. We have a check post of the police department. We have the police vehicle 24/7, which is parked there, and so we have got a lot of mechanism, the government machinery which is visible there. So there is some kind of a control, which major control, but still we have not been able to succeeded in doing it. We don't intend to do it also in just one go. We intend to do it gradually, in the sense that there's some areas we have designated this is a no entry zone. Some areas just outside and in the river, we have allowed them. Yes, if you have permission from the government authorities, you can do it there. But the
Sanjay, has it been declared, or have some efforts been made to declare it as the IBBA? One of my friends from Indore, Ajay Gadikar, is an ornithologist. He is asking whether it is an important bird and biodiversity area.
Unfortunately, it was not in the IBA sites, but we have Asad Rahmani Saab in his new updated version. He has added this. He has made a reference to it recently, last year, which was released, updated version. But it was never on the government map, or never on the in the priority areas of conservation. And as you said, a hidden jewel, we can say, which was not on the radar. We have brought it on the radar, and now people know it, and we are hopeful that the conservation effort will be taken forward at a very fast pace. Cattle grazing.
So can I move on to Carol, because I would like to bring her into this discussion now.
I'll just share
our slides.
The last slide. The last slide. Yeah. Next, can you move to the next slide? These are some pictures.
After key challenges.
Next. Yeah, we released few turtles also. Yeah, the way forward. The last slide. Just 2 minutes on this, and then I'll close. We have initiated efforts to declare it as a biodiversity hotspot. The state government has agreed. It has sent the proposal to the state, to the center also, with the project and the project also. We are expecting any time this year to get it declared. The declaration of now, we have done a detailed survey with WWF team, has been a great help. Suresh has been a great help, and his whole team has been a great help. We have identified 6,900 hectares to be declared as a Ramsar site. And we are sending the proposal. I can share it on this platform next week. We are all done. My forest team, led by conservator VK Jain, has made everything ready, and we are about to send it next week to the government. Now,
all the best to you, sir.
Another very important aspect is we are training the local. We were talking earlier, training the local community, making them guides, naturalists, in entire conservation process, educating them. And we intend to come up with a bird book. We had a target of 6th June. We couldn't do it because of the COVID issue, but now we have a new target of the Wildlife Week, where we are working with WWF team led by Arpit, the Suresh. So, and we are hopeful of coming out with a new document, which can be updated as and when. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sanjay ji, for this lovely presentation. And I think now we have got the sense of what Haiderpur is all about. And Carol had recently been there, so I would like to invite her to join us and My first question, Carol, to you is, what are your impressions of the recent visit to Haiderpur, and how critical are wetlands like Haiderpur in India? Because India, as Mr. Sanjay Kumar ji has said, Uttar Pradesh is the biggest state, and the Central Asian Flyway also passes through the state. So, your impressions about Haiderpur and the importance of Haiderpur as far as Central Asian Flyway is concerned.
Right. Okay.
Carol?
Well, first, thank you very much, Mr. Sanjay Kumar, for such a lovely presentation of Haiderpur. Yes, I was so impressed. I mean, when Samantha Ghosh took me there in February, and he was very enthusiastic about it. And so I had high expectation, and I was not disappointed. I mean, so what impressed me? Well, it was the huge area, that, one of those slides, showed the water on the wetland there. It just looked like a sea, didn't it? Well, that was, and also a lot of marsh, big area of marshes as well, grassland, wet grassland. So the size of it, the fact, its location, this has already been highlighted, location by the Ganga, and the huge numbers of birds there. I mean, the only other site where I've seen that number in India, I guess, was Bharatpur when I first visited there in 1977. But I think more than that, actually. So that was my impression, and Mr. Sanjay Kumar has already, described how important it is. Well, just to put it in the context of the Central Asian Flyway, I should, as you say, Haiderpur is right, and the whole of Uttar Pradesh is right on the flyway. Well, what do we mean by the flyway? Well, it's a huge area. Flyways, there are different flyways in the world. This is the Central Asian Flyway. It's actually better called, really, the Central Asian South Asian Flyway, because the flyway, it covers thousands of square kilometers, and it covers the migration routes of birds, and including wetland birds. And the Central South Asian Flyway, it covers the birds that breed in Central and Northern Asia, actually, and winter in South Asia, in the Indian subcontinent. And so Haiderpur is highly important as a wintering area. Birds will come there to winter, to stay for some time, but also as a stopping off point for birds that winter farther south. I just got a few slides here just to show you. Actually, one of them is bar-headed geese. That's let me see. These are not my photos. I'm not actually a bird photographer.
Yes, we can see.
Right. Yes, I put the photographers there. Mr. Kumar's already pointed out how important the site is for bar-headed geese. So this is the bird that flies. It's the highest known altitude. This bird flies, and it's one of to get from Central Asia to South Asia. That of course there's a barrier of the Himalayas in the way, and so what birds do is they either skirt the Himalayas, or they fly down the several valleys that cut right through the Himalayas, like the Kaligandaki. But the bar-headed geese are known to actually, are one of the few species that are known to actually just fly over the Himalayas, and apparently they're capable of flying over as high as Everest. So thousands of birds, as Mr. Kumar says, are either winter or pass through Haiderpur. And this is a globally near threatened species, It's another bird. I saw this one at Haiderpur, so that's another important species. Sorry, I mean, this is an area. Haiderpur is important for the globally threatened Peruvian stark, and as well as that, greater spotted eagle. It's a bird of prey that Samantha and I saw at Haiderpur, and as well as frequenting forests, it also frequents wetlands. And I think I might have seen it actually in on one of Mr. Kumar's slides just then. Well, many thousands of birds, well, hundreds of thousands of birds migrate along the Central Asian, South Asian flyway, and they need wetlands. Wetlands are, you know, are highly important. But what I found in what shall I say? Since I first came to India in 1977, what I've noticed is that you know, wetlands are in general, wetlands seem to be fewer. I mean, they're just disappearing. I mean, there's still a huge number of wetlands in India. Every village seems to have its own wetland, and so there is still a large number of wetlands there. And UP, I know, is especially important. But we need somehow to get local government, central government really focusing on protecting the wetlands that we have, and also their quality, because in many cases the wetlands are being degraded. And
Carol, that was my another question to you.
Oh, sorry.
You have been studying. No, I'm not disturbing your flow, but that was the relevant question I wanted to ask you here.
Yes.
You have been studying Indian wetlands and ecology for so many years now.
Yeah.
So since 70s, and I want to know, in 1977, on your first visit, where did you go? But the question is, over the years, what are the significant changes that you have observed in the habitats, particularly wetlands, and species distribution across India?
Yes. Well, sorry, I've been rather hesitant about this, you know.
No, the first question was that where all you visited in 1977 when you came first to India?
When the places we visited, well, Delhi and Calcutta, we went up to Darjeeling. It was really mainly, you know, northern India at that time, and Bharatpur. I mean, yes, there was. I mean, the river Jamuna, the river at Delhi, you know, was fantastic for birds in 1977. I remember when we first got to Delhi, we took one of these little tuk-tuks down to the river, and I mean, it was just absolutely stunning, and that was just like really quite close to the Red Fort, actually, and so the numbers of, you know, I'm being hesitant because they say, you know, someone in a glass house shouldn't throw stones. You know, our habitats here in the UK have declined, and natural habitats have declined in that period as well. So, I've noticed the, you know, increase in pollution, wetlands being degraded. Some of them, you know, disappearing. You know, in 77, for instance, we went to Okla and Wazirabad. We saw thousands of terns there, and on the river not far from the Red Fort, I remember seeing Indian skimmers. So I mean, there's no doubt that the numbers of birds, and perhaps particularly, I think wetlands are the most threatened habitat in the subcontinent. But
So
there
Carol,
are
from 1977 to 2020, what changes have you been able to notice, and good or bad, about
Right.
the wetlands you
Well,
have
I think-
visited, and what are the species distribution? Has it improved or it has gone down?
Well, I think there's no doubt that the number of wetlands and the number of wetland birds has decreased. However, having said that, you know, there's still an amazing number of birds in India, and I'm always, you know, taken aback. I come every year, and every time I come, you know, it takes me aback. What a wonderful place it is for birds. And on the positive side, well, you know, when I first came, I didn't meet any Indian birders then. My husband and I didn't meet anyone. I mean, I'm sure the, you know, they were there, of course. I mean, Salim Ali was very active, and, you know, and all his wonderful books fired, the BNHS, his wonderful books fired the interest of in Indian bird watching. There are far more bird watchers today. There's no doubt about it. And there's the other thing I've noticed is a great interest and enthusiasm for conservation, which I didn't notice at all. You know, it wasn't apparent at all in '77. So those are the you know, positive changes. That there's one other thing.
But you will be very happy to know, Carol, you will be happy to know that when we spoke about the Central Asian Flyway, Government of India is one of those few governments which has already brought out the action plan for conservation of Central Asian Flyway. So there is a growing awareness in the government as well as among the civil society. A large number of NGOs have also come forward for conserving the wetlands and also conserving, you know, biodiversity, the birds. And WWF is of course, the crown jewel of all. But there are many other smaller bodies also in districts and other places. But what they need is guidance and proper training for that.
Yes. Well, thank you. I wasn't aware of that. It's very encouraging. There's one negative thing though. I just, you know, I think it could be controlled. But what I have noticed recently, more and more, is a kind of people coming, picnicking. I mean, I think it's wonderful that local people do come and visit the wetlands and enjoy them, but I do think they do need to be controlled or advised or encouraged, whatever's the right word, not to leave litter, not to play loud music. Birds have ears, you know, and so, you know, not to, you know, to bring a radio, whatever, and also, you know, this so-called beautification, where vegetation along on the banks of the wetland, like trees and shrubs that are so important to the birds, they are, you know, removed, and you know, a picnic place made instead. And I think it, you know, if people were encouraged to picnic, you know, near a visitor centre, if there was a visitor centre made at a large wetland to show how important it is, and maybe people were encouraged, you know, just to picnic in the one place rather than removing vegetation, because the trees and shrubs, for instance, at Haiderpur, there are various trails and, you know, places you can walk, and the trees and shrubs, they actually shield the birds from people driving or walking along those tracks, so they're not disturbed. But if the trees and vegetation are removed, then they are, you know, obviously that increases the disturbance. So I have noticed and many wetlands now in India, they this disturbance caused by picnickers.
Picnickers.
Yeah,
I
come out
completely
to
agree with you,
picnic.
because this was the major challenge for the wetland conservation that we undertook in Indore in the last
Oh,
2.5
right.
decades. Stopping the picnickers is a major challenge, because nobody wants to take up a fight with them, and they say that they are the citizens of that particular area. So how
Well,
can we
yes.
stop them? So that is the
Yes,
issue that we need to all stakeholders have to think over it. How to train the picnickers, how to train the visitors. They should be serious bird watchers, and they should not be disturbing the biodiversity of the area.
yeah, I
Carol?
think yes, I agree, and I think at a large wetland, if there could be made a visitor center, or maybe just some boards that near around, and make a picnic area with the boards that people can see them, just explaining the importance of the wetland.
So
And
may I ask a question to Mr. Sanjay Kumar, who is an administrative officer, and he may be having the right answer for this question. Sanjay ji, how to stop
Yes,
picnickers, or how to stop discourage people from visiting this area, yet enjoy and add value to places like Haiderpur or Sirpur or
absolutely.
Bharatpur.
What we intend to do I have done it at few other places, is that as Carol was mentioning, you have to designate. See, we cannot have just pure birders, just pure nature lovers, and pure such people with immaculate behaviors coming to such places. We need to apportion a part of the area with a board and designate that area as a eating zone
yeah,
or as a rest area kind of a thing. We intend to do it
yes,
here at Haiderpur also. I have designated one area, and the second aspect is all these places, all these wetlands, they just should not be only for the birders, only for the people who are able to identify birds. We need to bring in the young people, the youth, the people, students from schools, colleges, and
yeah,
make it as a hub of eco learning center. This is what the word is: eco learning center. We should put in place a interpretation center, which we want to put at Haiderpur. I've already discussed about it with Ravi Singh Saab, and Sir has been more than happy to get on board to do it. We intend to do it in the coming season. A
He had done a
nice,
wonderful
beautiful.
job, WWF at Bharatpur.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. I've seen that,
Hmm.
and that's why I have requested. They have the expertise. They've done it so at many places. So we want to make an interpretation center, which becomes a learning center, and designate an area for such people, and they should be sitting and just chit chatting in that portion only, not in the serious birding areas, so that the birds are not developed and the things are not strewn in open. And but at the same time, we need to have a team of vigilant people also, just to look after things, put some cameras to just look into things, that okay, if people are throwing something in open, they must be told not to do it. Put some adequate dustbins, make some toilet facilities available for people at such places. And I think this is how we should do it.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. And going back to Carol, my last question could be perhaps, and I'll again talk to you, but before that, I would like also Ravi Singh also to come in after this question. So, Carol, my question to you is, having seen the wetland across the globe, how do we mainstream wetland conservation in India? Carol?
how do you mainstream?
Yeah, there has to be a mission mode kind of a project and program for wetland conservation. So, what are the best practices across the world? What can India learn from other countries,
Well, learn from other
or vice
countries.
versa?
Um,
Mainstreaming wetland conservation.
yes. I mean, I think it's quite difficult. I find to answer that, actually. I mean, I think what you've described, what you've already doing seems seems to be, seems to be very, very good to me. I mean, Mr. Sanjay, I think this idea of interpretation centres is an excellent one. If they could be created at wetlands, at the major wetlands, throughout India, that would really raise conservation awareness, because that's what you need, isn't it? Conservation awareness among the public. Encourage them to come, but to respect the wetland and understand why it's important.
Very right. So at this point of time, I would like Mr. Ravi Singh also to respond to various questions and the discussions that we have had. So Ravi has been the Secretary General and the CEO of WWF India, and a very, I think he is a born conservationist and an avid bird watcher. So Ravi, I would like to ask you that you have seen several wetlands in Central Asian flyways like Bharatpur and other places. What are some of the key changes that you have noticed in terms of change in health of these wetlands, species occurrence, and attitude of the stakeholders across the areas? Ravi, can you please respond to that?
Abhilashji, thank you for inviting me and giving me an opportunity. I am deeply.
We are really thankful to you that you have joined, sir.
No, I'm privileged to have you talking to us, and it's a great honor to have Sanjay and Carol. Wonderful to see you, and thank you for all the help that you've given Haiderpur. And of course, one or two things very clear, Abhilashji, that we would not have known Haiderpur had it not been for a group of government officers who got together and created something out of something we already had. We had Haiderpur. People used to go bird watching, and maybe a little bit it was known. But to bring it onto the map, the role of the government and a key group of government officers is very necessary. I think Sanjay has led this, and this deserves a lot of praise. The second is that I'd say, what has changed? Abhilashji, what really has changed in the last 50, 60 years is that we have taken our attention away as Indians from the word environment and ecology. I mean, a lot of us who are on
quite
this
right.
group, all the people who are on the group are not necessarily in that category because they are converted people, or they are all on the side of conservation environment. But largely, India has somehow moved its attention away from this. And only when we brought the attention back to some extent because of knowledge, because of the younger people, and because of media and some enlightened leadership, some of which is apparent, it's then wetlands became important to some extent. It's then tiger reserves, protected areas, ecology, education, environment education came into this entire curricula of our people. And like Carol said, the number of people that we see when we go out, bird watchers, photographers, youngsters asking questions which are very, very difficult sometimes to answer. I mean, these kind of things we did not have earlier. What else has moved? I think what has happened is that somehow we still, ours is largely an agrarian country, which is the reason why we have varied food availability for different species of birds and animals. And this is one of the reasons why India still protects, is able to protect a large species of birds in India. Protection is in our tradition, it's in our culture, it's in our religion, it's in our heritage. And a lot of it is helped by the agrarian mass that we have. So it's in that way, it's a symbiotic relationship of the habitat as well as the culture and thinking of people. I think we should never forget that. I'll bring out a few points because we are talking about Haiderpur. Firstly, on a general scale, you talked about other wetlands, etc. If you fly, keeping the Ganga on your left, and if you fly down all the way up to Ghazipur in Uttar Pradesh, and as you enter Bihar and that area. And leaving out the Sarda for a minute, just concentrating on the Ganga. The number of wetlands, the satellites that you see on both sides of the river, small rivulets, remnant water, floodplain. Of course, nothing as large as what we have in the barrage areas like we have in Bijnor or Haiderpur and others, but dotted with wetlands, full of habitat which protects migratory species. And they're waiting to be discovered. They're waiting to be there. You know, in a way, they're occupied by agrarian practices and others, but still alive, and these need to be brought out. And we need to bring this out in the map. What else has changed? I think a lot of places where there are cities and they have a symbiotic relationship with their wetlands. For instance, Sirpur and Indore, Bhopal and its lakes, Delhi and Okhla. I mean, these are different areas we start thinking of. Bharatpur with Bharatpur, you know. And to that extent, we will have a challenge in Haiderpur because there is no real symbiotic relationship. But it lies between two districts. On one side is Muzaffarnagar, the other side is Bijnor. And to bring these interpretation centers, these children, and all this that Sanjay spoke about, this is the way to build a symbiotic relationship. You know, for somebody like us, when you go from Delhi to Haiderpur, when you generally need 2 sunsets or 2 sunrises minimum to be able to see a place properly, to walk around, to observe it, to see and understand the flow.
Quite right.
And the rhythm. Now, it's very difficult to do that for Haiderpur because you'll have to stay in Bijnor. Most people may not know where to stay, and all these kind of things, homestays, hotels, easy, reservations, all these would make a big difference to that. On Haiderpur itself, just sorry to come back. By the way, Sanjay has a great network of people, both in his service and otherwise. I'd just like to mention that on a particular initiative that was undertaken where I was also involved, relating to ill effects of COVID-19, a small intervention by him and his group of people made a huge difference to migrant laborers and a lot of other people in terms of health. And I'd like to mention this. And it's the same network of people who will also, through their enlightened leadership, be able to help our habitat and our conservation areas. Haiderpur has about a day's birding got us over 100 species, 180 species, sorry, Arpit Deo Murari, 22 species of raptors, white-tailed eagle. I have not seen a white-tailed eagle for a very long time in England like this. We saw one. And the total number that he has given me today is around 280 species. And according to Sanjay, we will hit 350 if we are careful, we really do work. So all this is possible. This is tremendous.
That is mind-boggling, Ravi.
Absolutely.
Species around a
and while I was there with Sanjay, we saw otters hunting in the water. You know, and in the background, the calves of the Barasinga. And tremendous, I mean, like, this is something fantastic. I'd also like to mention, although this is not very well known, that with the UP Forest Department, we've also surveyed the habitat because there is an interest to introduce rhinos in this area. And the habitat is certainly there, but the fact is the issue is that of how do you introduce a species in a crowded or populated agrarian settlement. And those, I mean, the habitat will be able to take it, but it's a limited habitat in that sense. And these are things that India is starting to, converse, discuss. And that to me is something that has changed. You and I were involved in the reintroduction of tigers to Panna. Things that we could not have thought of earlier, bold issues, bold steps that my nation is taking. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Things that are changing.
Quite right.
So sorry, it's a long-winded answer to your question. I'd like to say
no, it's very enlightening to hear you, sir, because of your experience, because of your initiatives and your interactions with people in government and outside it. So you are really adding value to today's discussion, Ravi Singh ji. So my
Abhilash,
question to
Abhilash
you
ji,
is that,
I'll make one small intervention. I want to just
please go
support Carol in saying uh, we have observed about 2.5% of the population of the bar-headed goose in Haiderpur, global population, and 3% of the population of the grey-lag goose. These are some very important criteria to have them declared as Ramsar site areas. And recently in the
that is
CMS,
fantastic news.
in Gandhinagar, where you were one of the leading moderators, we had a site event with the Ramsar Secretariat, and they were deeply
Yes, I
impressed
know.
by what India is doing in Ramsar, and mention of Haiderpur was very much on top in that presentation. Thank you.
So I think there are 37 Ramsar sites in India, and
Abhilash,
large
can I
number
make
of
just reference?
please, Sanjay ji, please.
Yeah, it's so nice and to hear Ravi Singh Saab mentioning about the Ramsar site, the survey which has been done, and in UP, out of the 10 different parameters, Ramsar site has qualified with hands down 100% on 5 parameters. That's fabulous. And this is the report based on the joint survey which the Forest Department and the WWF team did. And another mention about what Ravi Singh Saab said about the production of rhinos. In fact, the area which we have selected for the Ramsar site is somewhere around 20,000 acre of patch. Now that's tremendous. That's between River Ganga,
20,000 acres.
acres. That's huge, and that's still
huge.
in a position. It's a huge marshy land, and the Haiderpur is the portion which we see right from the embankment is just 3,000 odd acres. So now the entire area which we have taken to declare it as a Ramsar site, and we can initiate conservation effort for rhinos is still a possibility. I am very hopeful, and based on the report of the expert of one of the person, I don't remember his name. He had come from Assam. He had talked to us. He'd come and made a field visit, spent a lot of time. He says it is still a possibility. And I'm particularly hopeful to push this issue through at the government level. And by the way, I would like to, since it's a fora of a lot of wildlife enthusiasts, nature lovers, birders, that the Shivaliks in Saharanpur, which is another 33,000 hectares of pristine forest, that was still not a any wildlife sanctuary or anything. It's just a any protected area. But at one point of time, it had tigers, a lot of other wildlife animals. Still has it has got elephants, it has got gurus, sambar, hog deer, barking deer, everything. But tigers were missing for the last 15 odd years. Now we have initiated an effort in the last 6 months, and we've worked in detail. A lot of camera trap study was done recently by a team of WWF, and fantastic results. And the good news I would like to share is that yesterday we have sent a detailed proposal to declare this 33,000 hectare of Shivalik forest as a Shivalik Tiger Reserve. We have sent it
That's a
yesterday.
great news. That's a great news,
Excellent.
Sanjay. At this point of time, I would request Mr. V.K. Jain also to chip in. He is the conservator of forest in Saharanpur area and has been dedicatedly working on the conservation of Haiderpur as well, because without forest officers, it is very difficult. We rarely get Sanjay Kumars of the land, but we would like Mr. V.K. Jain also to share his experiences. Mr. Jain, please join us.
Thank you, sir. It is my privilege that I am talking in front of such dignitaries. Actually, here I want to mention some point. Haiderpur have total Ramsar site criteria is 9 out of 9. We are qualifying 5 criteria. Here I want to mention we have Ghadial, Indian turtle, Saras crane, eagles, spotted swamp deer, fishing cat, otter, so many wild animal, as well as more than 30,000 birds of 280 species. It is a marvelous place. I have visited in January 19 this place, and I have seen a great potential to this area. But I have the limitation. In spite of that, we have discussed with the commissioner. He has taken a very keen interest and also motivate us, my team. I visited so many times with so many dignitaries, or it is my privilege that I am talking about Haiderpur. This place is very, very, I have not seen such type of a badland. The total area of this badland, Haiderpur, is about 3,000 acre. But now we are also incorporating the nearby wetland that has more than 1,000 hectare, as well as some 1,500 hectare of the forest land. So total around more than 17,000 acre land we have qualified for this Ramsar site. We have already completed this project. Tomorrow we are just sending this proposal to government of UP, as well as I have talked to senior officer. Within a 3 or 4 days, my account will be open for Ramsar site. So it is a very good news for us. Every
Exactly. We are quite excited that Haiderpur could be one of the Ramsar sites in the days to come.
so
So all
here
the best
here
wishes
I
to
want
you, Mr. Jain.
जी, जी, जी. Here I just want to mention here
Because
we
now we
are
have running
already
out of
sent.
time. So,
Okay, no problem.
Ji Jain sir.
I just want to mention here we have already
Please.
sending this biodiversity hotspot, this place biodiversity park proposal. It is under consideration in the government. So we have also involved these local people to participate as well as aware to this place is very, very beautiful, and I am ready for to launch within a month or more. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thanks.
Thank you.
So I would like to wrap up this discussion. There will be some questions also, but there are some great news coming out of this discussion today. The first is what Ravi has broken with us. It is the possibility of introduction of rhinos in this area. So that is, I'm really very happy to hear about that, because that wetland and Haiderpur entire area would be further upgraded with the introduction of rhinos. So thank you, Ravi, for sharing that. And a bigger thank is due to Carol, who said that Haiderpur is almost like Bharatpur, but the discussion I am getting, I mean, the sense I am getting from the discussion is that in the days to come, if concentrated efforts are made, Bharatpur can be left behind by Haiderpur if efforts are in the right direction. So this is something great. I tell you, when Sunita Narayan had come to Indore and visited the Sirpur Lake, which we were trying to conserve, she said Sirpur Lake has the potential to become another Bharatpur. So Bharatpur is the biggest icon for the bird lovers, for conservationists, for wetland lovers. So this is another good news. And the third one, which is also very important, which Sanjay Kumar ji has broken, is about possibility of a tiger reserve in the Shivalik ranges. So if the National Tiger Conservation Authority takes up this kind of proposal, which goes to them, and the UP government pushes this thing, so there will be a new tiger reserve. There are already 52 or 51 tiger reserves in the country. So these are the three great news which have come out of the discussion. And I would like to share this global wetland outlook, which I got from the Ramsar Convention office during the CMS. This small paragraph I am wanting to read out of this, which is the conclusion of this global wetland outlook. It says our analysis, that is the Ramsar Convention analysis, shows that throughout the world, wetlands are in serious trouble. declining in area and quality and under mounting pressure. But fortunately, we still have vast wetland reserves and benefit from many ecosystem services that they provide. The Ramsar Convention strategic plan lays out a blueprint for a different future where wetland conservation and wise use halt and reverse this decline and ensure that wetlands play a key role in delivering the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So there is a ray of hope, and that is what I would like to end this discussion. But then there are some questions also from participants. So I would request Shobha to please facilitate if there are some questions to Carol or Sanjay Kumar or Ravi Singh ji, the questioners can put the questions to them. And after that,
Yes,
we
sir.
would
Thank you.
formally wind it up.
Yes, sir. Mr. Ruhan Mohanty, he's asking what precautions does the visitors need to keep in mind so that they don't damage the biodiversity of the wetlands and marshes when they're visiting?
I think
The question is to Sanjay ji.
yeah, I think the simplest thing a person can do is not to litter. The simplest thing one can do when you visit to such place like wetlands, we tend to be very careful in the whatever we carry, the food items, the chips packet, or the without realizing the damage done to the the aquatic flora and fauna and and the birds. So the least we can do is this. Secondly, as Carol was mentioning, when you go to such places, enjoy the rhythm, the sounds of the nature. Don't talk loud. Don't unnecessarily disturb birds. Just try and sync with the nature. Try and absorb what the nature is offering you.
Last two questions, Shobha, because we're really running out of time.
Yes. Another question that we have is, what are the steps being taken to create awareness about the protection of wetlands, marshes, and marine biomes?
You mean to say with context to in general or like with
In
Haiderpur?
general, sir.
In general. See, we have a national wetland, authority also, and similarly we have a state wetland board now in different states, and that further decentralized at the district level as a district wetland board. Now this is headed by the collectors. The collectors head them, and they have a whole set of officers from irrigation department, forest department, the pollution department, the public works department, and they all sit together and work out such wetlands and their conservation programs. Now we have got some schemes of the government, schemes like National Wetland Conservation Program, under which various wetlands which are there identified, they are identified at the district level, processed, sent to the state level. The state committee finally processes the estimates and the work which are proposed and sends it to this national committee. The wetland board, which is again headed by the secretary of the Ministry of Environment and Forest, and there are a lot of other officers, and they finally work on that. And now part of this project is educating the masses. That includes conducting chopals in villages. That includes leaflets, pamphlets, a lot of other IC material generation, working with a lot of active NGOs, educating people, motivating them. So this is how it goes.
Thank you, Sanjay ji, for that wonderful
Yes.
response.
There's
Shobha, is there one
last-
more question?
Yes, sir. There's
Yeah,
one
last
last
question.
question.
It is already
Is rather a
7:15.
request. Ms. Aditi has shared that please request the government to include environmental science and wildlife conservation in school curriculums.
Yeah, that's very important. So that's a suggestion. So
That's
before winding up the program and discussion,
as far as UP is concerned, we were pushing through the idea of encouraging making nature clubs at the school level. And the good news is that the state government last year, they agreed and they've started making nature clubs at the school level. Now these nature clubs at the school level will be tutored, trained to identify local plants, species, wildlife, appreciate nature, and slowly, gradually make them as ambassadors of various conservation of nature, wildlife, and appreciate the nature in general.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. But before wrapping up, one key recommendation from each panelist. So I would start with Carol.
Right.
Wanting
Well,
to know from you what.
Thank you. Yes. Well, just really echoing.
One key recommendation.
Key recommendation: raise conservation awareness in the local communities. I would echo what Sanjay Kumar's, the idea of nature clubs, going out to the villages, and also at the wetland itself, at the larger wetlands, to create an interpretation center, with some attractive boards explaining, why this wetland is important. Because I think people don't really know, and encouraging people to enjoy it and respect it as well.
Thank you. Mr. Ravi Singh ji, would you like to recommend something very important from your experiences in the field?
I would just say that invest in knowledge, invest in reading, invest your time in this, particularly in the time that we are in this restrictive mode. Invest your time in reading, invest in knowledge, read up books, read up pamphlets, encourage publication in Hindi that could be distributed in all the villages around Haiderpur. And by this investment, you will create a kind of a movement internally of groups and evolved people and evolved conservationists. So rather than just looking at one singular aspect of counting birds or just photographs, we can do all these things together. And by doing all these things together, we may be able to contribute to perhaps even more sites for Ramsar, more sites for sanctuaries, more sites of protected areas, aquatic sanctuaries. These are things that we need to do. So the power of change lies within ourselves. Just remember that. Because more you invest in knowledge, the more you'd be able to do what you need to act. Thank you.
Sanjay Kumar ji?
Yeah. I would say that we have to dispel the myth, especially in India, that wetlands are just a patch of wastelands. Now, that is the biggest myth. If you talk to any people who do not know the importance, they say this is a useless piece of land, which is why not just reclaim it? And this is the biggest myth we need to dispel. And as my other esteemed members were mentioning, that working with the people, involving them, participating with them, strengthen, and at the same time, conservation effort cannot succeed unless the livelihood stakes of local people is, rather than taking it away, you got to strengthen. That is the key. If you strengthen it, they will be part of the team. They will be on board. They will become, the true warriors for protection. And lastly, that we all, as an administrative officer, this is my understanding based on experience, as we also should be investing similar amount of time in educating officers, people who make a difference, people who have got an
That is most important. That is most important.
This is one of the biggest missing link in this country. We work on, with communities, with people, with educating them, but there are many team of officers, people of education, people from irrigation department, people from forest, also people from other line departments. It's a great investment. They stay in service for 35 to 40 years. And if you invest them in making them green ambassador and understand the importance of these wetlands, make them know how they are contributing in, contributing nation building and the ameliorating the nature, the gift they are giving to the nature. They become your ambassadors in building a lot of things for the next 30, 40 years, whatever service they have. So we should also focus on educating, motivating, and bringing and getting these officers of different departments. This is what I do everywhere. First thing, I call right from a junior engineer to a small supervisor to a lakepal to every single officer of different line department and tell them your role is very important. you are the person who's going to make a difference. So now making them feel important, motivating them, educating them, and connecting them with the whole thing is very important.
Thank you very much, sir. So may I take this opportunity to thank each one of the panelists, mainly Carol Inscape, who has been a leading light in the field of ornithology, and I have got some of her very old books, and very informative, very knowledgeable, and whatever understanding I have developed over a period of time about ornithology is thanks to Carol Inscape. Thank you, Sanjay Kumar ji. Thank you, Ravi ji.
Thank you very much. And my co-authors, please, also.
Yeah.
So I mean, all the best wishes to Sanjay Kumar ji and Ravi Singh ji for making the efforts to bring Haiderpur to the national limelight, and we need to be more responsible now, because Haiderpur is well known now, and there will be some negatives also coming in way, so we need to tackle them, and all the best wishes for declaration of this as a Ramsar site. So thank you very much. All of you joined us and really added value to this discussion, which was, even frankly speaking, even I didn't know much about Haiderpur, and today I stand wiser as far as wetland conservation initiatives in the country. So thank you very much, and have a lovely time in the days to come, and stay safe. Keep your family and friends and everyone, away from the corona and COVID virus. Thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you, Abhilashi.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Sanjay ji.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Samantha.
Yeah, thank you, Samantha. You've done a fabulous job in coordinating everything.
Thanks, Samantha.
That is Sumanta. I thought he's not there. Thank you, Samantha, because you started the discussion so well that we could carry
Samantha
forward
and Suresh
in a meaningful manner.
also. I don't see him, but Suresh has been a great.
Suresh is the man
people having
behind
the
the
pillar of
curtain.
strength.
Yes, he is a silent volunteer.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you all.
Absolute pleasure,
Suresh.
sir.